Hi, this is Mark Lux, Extension Weed Scientist at The Ohio State University, and this is the pesticide recertification video for 2016 for agronomic crops. Just a reminder as I get started that most of the information I'll be presenting here is in the current version of our weed control guide, which now covers Ohio, Indiana, and Illinois. It's usually about $15. You can purchase it at OSU Extension County offices or online at the OSU Extension e-store. We do also provide a free PDF that you can download for your computer or other devices at the website shown on the screen there. Also at that website and in the back of the weed control guide are some other publications. There's just a wealth of information on the website generally, but one of those is a fact sheet that we update every year, control of mare's tail and no-till soybeans. And then also Purdue has a bulletin on Palmer amaranth, which is becoming an increasing problem in Ohio, as I'll discuss here in a couple of minutes. Another great source for information on resistance management and herbicide site of action is the Take Action website. Take Action is a program that combines university resources and people with USB resources, and there's a lot of great stuff available on this website. Some of the things we've been giving out around the state, like the herbicide classification poster, are available there, as well as fact sheets on various weeds, and you can even look up your herbicide site of action with a tool they have there for your phone. Getting into new herbicides, there actually is not a lot of new development in herbicides per se. There's some new traits coming out, as I'll talk about. And again, the weed control guide does cover most of this. One is Acuron from Syngenta, which is a herbicide very similar to Lexar and Lumax in its activity and use. It basically takes the same three components that are in Lexar, metolachlor or dual plus atrazine plus mesotrione, which is Callisto, and adds a fourth ingredient, bicyclopyrone, which is another HPPT inhibitor similar to the site of action of mesotrione. It's really hard to distinguish the activity between Acuron and Lexar most of the time. Acuron may be a little bit better on giant ragweed and other large-seeded broadleaf weeds at times in certain fields. I'm not sure it matters a lot for some of those weeds. Giant ragweed is a weed that if you have more than a few, you really do require a post-emergent follow-up to get consistently effective control, and corn is your crop to get better control or control it more easily, so that's worth doing. But it may be that in some low-level infestations you can see some better activity or longer activity out of Acuron versus Lexar and Lumax. New product geared probably primarily for non-GMO corn or for sweet corn or popcorn is Revulin Q from DuPont. The Q products from DuPont all contain isoxazoline, which is a safener, which gives them better safety on small corn and in some cases expands the application window. Revulin is a combination of nicosulfuron or accent plus mesotrione or Callisto with that safener, so it's pretty broad spectrum. Generally could probably use a little bit of atrazine or something with it to round out the broadleaf activity. And you can see there that the additives and the size that you can apply to on corn vary with the type of corn. So field corn and inbreds have the most tolerance or the least risk of problems, so you can apply with crop oil concentrate or a similar type adjuvants with a nitrogen source up to 20 inches tall and prior to V5. Yellow popcorns only with surfactant, same with sweet corn, yellow popcorn up to 20 inches tall before V5, and then more restrictive on sweet corn, although you can get a little bit bigger if you use a directed spray. Has been an increase in the planting of Liberty Link beans, and they are a great tool for management of the weeds that we're having glyphosate resistance issues with, especially mare's tail, common ragweed, and giant ragweed. And there are several generic formulations of Liberty. In addition to Liberty, there's now Cheetah from New Farm and Interline from UPI. These all have the same loading and rates and uses essentially, so labels are very similar. Rates are similar. New Farm also has a product called Cheetah Max, which is a mix of glufosinate with fameciclovir or Flexstar, which is geared more for control of palmer amaranth and water hemp. Fameciclovir does provide some residual control of broadleaf weeds. There hasn't been any real price reduction so far with these, and that's because the demand for Liberty has been pretty high. So maybe over time the price will come down some, but at the time that I made this video, I think the price is really pretty similar between all of these. Just some reminders about Liberty Link soybeans. You do need a comprehensive burn down with residual herbicides to make that program work well. Generally, if you do that, you're coming back for control of giant ragweed and possibly some grass and possibly some mare's tail if your residual takes out the rest of the weeds. Grasses can be a little bit of an issue with Liberty, primarily the grasses other than giant foxtail or panicum. So if you have yellow foxtail, barnyard grass especially, a lot of dealers and farmers have just gone to mixing some Select or something like that with the Liberty to control those grasses routinely. On giant ragweed, your strategy typically is if you have more than a few, the first post application on 6 to 10 inch plants, and then the second post about 3 weeks later has worked very well in our research to control giant ragweed, and that'll help drive your giant ragweed population down the fastest. I think what we've all found out about glufosinate over time is it's important to optimize your application. It's not quite as flexible as products like glyphosate and 2,4-D in terms of weather and volume and nozzles and things like that. So make sure you follow label directions on nozzles. 15 to 20 gallons, and I've had people tell me they think 20 is better. And then I know some applicators really try to target Liberty application for warm, sunny weather. Just kind of a reminder, there is still a lot of development of new premixes for soybeans, and a lot of these are geared, residual herbicide premixes, and these are geared toward control of palmer amaranth and water hemp, and they don't necessarily fit giant ragweed and water hemp, or giant ragweed and mare's tail that well. So just kind of a reminder on giant ragweed, your two main active ingredients that have activity on giant ragweed from a residual standpoint are Climerion or Classic and Chloranthalum or First Rate, and these are all in a variety of premixes that we're using pretty heavily, and one of the reasons we're using these premixes a lot is because we need that component to get some residual giant ragweed control. Imazethipyr or Pursuit, which is also in some other premixes like Matador and Authority Cyst, does have some activity on giant ragweed, and of course once it's ALS resistant, there's essentially very difficult to get any residual control at all, but this information here assumes they're still ALS sensitive. And then most people have some mare's tail to deal with. We are assuming that most of the mare's tail is ALS resistant. So the Climerion and Classic I just talked about really sort of fall through the cracks on that, and it's the other component that you're mixing with that or in the premix that gives you your residual mare's tail control. Sulfentrazone or Authority, Flumioxazin or Valor, Metribuzin, for which the control is very rate dependent, and also Saflufenicil or Sharpen and Verdict at the higher rates, which can be applied a couple weeks before planting on most soils, have given some pretty good residual control. Our general recommendation here is to do a combination of a couple of these. We found that, for example, mixing an Authority product with some Metribuzin or a Metribuzin product with some Sharpen has tended to give more consistent and longer control of mare's tail than any one active ingredient. An example of this is Ransom at the top of this screen, which is a mix of Flumioxazin or Valor plus Metribuzin. A lot of products have come off patent, and there's a lot of companies that have been picking these up and creating different premixes. And as I said, a lot of these have been geared more for palmer amaranth and water hemp. So the Adema products here are an example of that. They have a lot of new premixes over the past several years, and really if you look at these, the Ransom, for example, has Flumioxazin and Metribuzin, which are both good on mare's tail. The second one there, Latier, has Imazethipyr or Pursuit, which has some activity on giant ragweed, and then it has a Valor. The rest of those really don't necessarily have a lot of activity on mare's tail. Fomesifin and Metolachlor don't have any residual control to speak of, and Imazethipyr or Pursuit's pretty weak, depending on population and whether it's ALS resistant. So just a reminder, if you're considering a new residual premix for beans, make sure you check the Table 14 in the weed control guide to take a look at the herbicide you're considering and the weeds that you have to make sure it's got the right fit. There are just lots and lots of generics because there's not been a lot of development of new herbicides, and a lot of them have come off patent. And an example of this is all the Fomesifin products. So we initially just had Flexstar and Reflex. Now you can see all the different 1.88 pound per gallon formulations, which is what Flexstar is, and all the 2 pound per gallon formulations, which is what Reflex was. And then we have a 2.87 from Helena, which is Sinister. Active ingredient rates among labels are usually the same, but of course the loading's a little bit different depending on which formulation, so the product rates vary, and then also adjuvant recommendations can vary among products as well.